You got into basketball.
Okay. My name is Michael Youngblood. I'm 21 years old. I was born in San Francisco, California, in the Mission District area. I moved out here in, I'd say, 1992, and I got adopted in 1994. And basketball for me was not my first sport. My first sport was tetherball. But I was so good at tetherball. I was in like the second grade. Now I can just remember being out there by myself, like hopping the school fences and being out there by myself practicing. And my mom, the mom that adopted me, she got married to a guy that was really into basketball, and he saw the dedication I had at a young age to tetherball.
Like, how is it being adopted? I mean, what types of things do you go through?
Oh, it's rough, man. Being adopted could be a blessing and a curse at the same time. You have to do a lot of mind work because, especially when you're young, you don't feel a sense of belonging. Like, you go through identity problems. You don't know who's what's who. You don't really realize the reason.
I'm gonna edit this.
I didn't have a basketball hoop until I was about 14. So I used to take boxes outside in my backyard and stack chairs and practice shooting into my box. And most of the stuff that I've learned from studying the NBA game. I used to watch all the playoff games, every basketball game I could, and then go outside and practice in between commercials, come back, take what I could get from them, and shoot some more. Eventually, I did get a basketball hoop. But basketball became such a big deal to me that I started like ditching band practice after school just to go practice and shoot. And nobody really took a look at me because of my height. So that's where I get my competitiveness from. I just want to show people that, we can play too.
That have influenced your life. Like, who are your biggest influences outside of basketball that really, really gave you like strength or faith or courage or anything like that?
I'd have to say my mom.
Really?
Yeah,
Your adopted mom or your biological mom?
My adopted mom. And she's a phenomenal woman. She's pretty strong. She's a single mom with 4 kids, okay, and none of them which are biologically hers. But she stuck it out for the long run, and we all came with our baggage, different families and stuff like that. But I'd say she's my biggest role model, and she always told me no matter where I am, I don't need to be afraid because I can amount to anything I want to do.
She really said.
Basically, my mom always told me, like, they expect you to fail. So if you fail, you're giving them what you want, what they want. And she just drilled it in my head, and so now I realize that if I'm going to succeed, I have to take me there. Nobody's going to do it for me.
Wow. So you said mind work. What does that mind work mean? What does that consist of? I'm sensing that it, yeah.
My mom would have me read stories about extraordinary men that went through the same situation I've gone through.
No.
Yeah. And she basically reiterated the fact that it doesn't matter what anybody says, that I make my own destiny. I control my own destiny. A
little bit more about why Allen Iverson was like a role model for you.
Allen Iverson's background story is similar to mine. He didn't really have it easy growing up, and despite all distractions, when he got into the NBA, his heart was so big that he carried a city on his back. You have a guy that's like 6 foot tall, and he's not big or anything, but he's still like finger rolling and stuff over 7-footers, and he took that team to the NBA Finals all by himself.
Right.
So that showed me that, he wasn't the first to do it, but he definitely, in my era, was the biggest role model.
What's the biggest thing that you've had to overcome? I mean,
there's a lot, but graduating high school was really hard for me. I moved out of my mom's house at 16 and moved from friend's house to friend's house. Eventually I dropped out of school at about 17, and for about 2 months I decided, well, maybe I don't want to do school, maybe I don't want to do high school. I had a talk with a couple people, and they said, you know what, give it your best shot. I ended up graduating from Sheldon High School. Learned is this, in the beginning I felt sorry for myself. I was always finding ways to, oh my God, this is my, but I realized when the difference between a boy and a man knows when to take responsibility. You know, and so eventually I was sitting in my car and I just took responsibility. I said, look, you got yourself in this position. Your mom didn't kick you out of your house, you left. So it was your conscious choice to leave. If you're gonna do this, do it. Either do it or don't.
It must have been hard to just go back.
It was really hard. I had to go back to the school that eventually kicked me out. I had to persuade them that I had changed. So it meant a lot of things. It meant changing the way I dressed. It meant changing the way I spoke, changing who I hung out with. It was hard, man, because a lot of those teachers did not respect me.
Wow. So basically they had an idea of you and you had to actually transform yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So whenever something comes up that you have to deal with, you do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Yeah, I figured if instead of low jeans and a baggy shirt, if I came with some fitted jeans and a button up, you know, they would at least listen to me. They would listen to what I had to say. And I remember in the beginning of senior year, I sat my teachers down and I told them, I was like, I'm trying to do this, man. I want to graduate. It's going to be hard for me because I don't live at home. And
oh, you were still not, you were still living from person, living from house to house.
Yeah, I left my mom's house at 16 and I never moved back. So
wow.
It was really hard for me, but yeah, I can say I graduated high school.
With that, all of that, you did that. You lived from house to house, and you still graduated.
Oh yeah.
How the hell did you?
Some nights I slept in my car. Actually.
How did you? God.
I just kept hearing people's voices in my head, man. You can't do it. You can't do it. And I didn't want them to win. I didn't want to.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was the first male in my family to graduate high school.
Wow.
So.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Seriously. But see, so you could have just quit and just stayed quit. So what went on in your mind about that?
Well, shortly after I dropped out of high school, I can remember somebody that knew me, she was talking to another person, and they relayed back to me that her idea of me was that I wasn't going to amount to anything. I was just going to stay, in her words, a thug. And I thought to myself, and I said, that's everybody in my family, man. And I'll be damned if that's going to be me too.
Wow.
So basically just hearing that I can't do it is what made me graduate high school.
Wow. So you went
for yourself.
Really?
Use this as a learning experience. Don't take full responsibility, because once you take full responsibility, your mind has the chance to learn. If you're using excuses, you block your mind from learning. And the more you learn, the better, the easier life is.
Shortest guy on the team.
No, I was the shortest by far, and our team was stacked. I mean, we had players like DeMarcus Nelson, Darius Nelson, all recruited players that were recruited at a young age. So it was very hard in that program. But I mean, that's all motivation for me. All of that.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that you. So what are some other things, other influences that you think made you strong?
People telling me I can't
play basketball
to God all the time, man.
Seriously?
Yeah, I talk to God a lot. I read this book. It's called Science and Health by I think her name is Mary Eddy Baker, and her take on the whole God situation was interesting because, like me, she feels like God is a reflection. How much you talk to God doesn't really matter, but it does matter the connection, and only you can make that connection with Him. And I feel like when I need somebody to talk to, I don't even have to speak. I can just think. Whoa!
Like the game's on the line, and how do you deal with pressure?
Well, you can't even combat pressure if you don't believe in yourself. So when let's just say in basketball, when I get the ball, if pressure's on me, as soon as I get the ball.
First of all, do you feel pressure or
no? Yeah, you feel. If you don't feel pressure, there's something wrong.
Okay.
You feel pressure.
Okay, you just feel the pressure. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And it could either be fuel or it could be fire. So.
Oh wait, say that again.
It could either be fuel or it could be fire.
Wow, that's deep, man.
When I get the ball, if the pressure's on me and I get the ball, I say in my head I can do it. But it's more of telling the ball in the rim. And you're telling the ball in the rim. You're talking to the ball in the rim. Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds weird. Rim and the ball.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I have a friend named Brandon White. If he sees this, he'll be happy. I haven't had any coaching, but he has helped me developed some things, and one thing he told me was the best situation to be in when you're under pressure is stay calm and look, and everybody else cancels out. Don't think about anybody else except you, the ball, and the rim. And it makes it easier because if you add pressure on yourself, the pressure from the outside world, it'll be too much. So if you take the pressure...
Basically, so let me sort of recap. What you do is you sort of minimize the factors. So like instead of all of this other stuff that's around you, you clear your mind, and then what you say is that you think about you, the ball, and the rim.
And as a shooter, you always think your shot's going in anyway.
You think that?
Yeah. Every shot you take is going in. That's how you make tough shots. Because if you're going into a shot thinking this is a tough shot, it's not going to go in.
Say let's use a hypothetical. So you are playing in a game and you miss 5 shots in a row, and then game's on the line. So do you forget the other 5 and then your mind is clear like that?
Yeah, you have to. There's no way around that.
How'd you learn that?
NBA.
What do you mean NBA?
From basketball interviews, from like interviews with LeBron. He's probably the most criticized when it comes to the last second shot.
But then you change the energy and you use it like in basketball?
It takes me about, I'd say about 3.5 minutes. If somebody's saying something to me that it takes me 3.5 minutes for my brain to go, shut off, turn on, what? And get on the court and do something else about it. So
really, guys that finish, some that don't, and there's guys that finish. And
I want to be a guy that finishes.
You're a finisher.
I want the pressure on me.
You're a finisher.
Yeah. If I step on the court and do what I have to do, and more people talk and more people hear about it, then all of a sudden you'll see more people my height step out the woodwork, or not even necessarily in basketball.
Wow,
but if I was on the court just for me, I probably would have stopped a long time ago.
Serious?
Yeah.
You're not just saying that to sound good.
Dude, it's so hard. It's so much hard work, man. I walk into a weight room and I don't even want to touch the weights.
Serious business.
There's times where I just want to stop playing basketball. I've heard so much stuff, like, you know, people used to call me Smurf. There's just a ridiculous stuff, man. I mean, there's a lot of times where I could have just quit, but if I quit, it takes one person at a time to change the world. And she used a Martin Luther King quote, and she said, "Be the change you want to see."
How is it going to work out? How are you going to inspire people?
Starts with my family, man. I got family members back in San Francisco, Oakland, New York, Miami. If they see me, man, then I think that the way that they think will improve also. I got uncles. I'm a social worker for troubled teens.
Are you really? Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why? What's behind that? Why would you want to do that?
Because I have experience in a lot of what they're going through, and I can relate. And that's really all they want. All we really want is somebody to relate and connect with. Because a lot of the times we feel like we're by ourselves. You know, whatever's going on in our life, we feel like we're dealing with it by ourselves. And it's a lot to deal with when you're growing up in certain environments and you don't have anybody to relate to. You start to find things to relate to, and it could be things like gangs, drugs, anything that is not healthy for you. Yeah. So once somebody gets somebody or something to relate to, whether it be basketball or sports, they take it and run.
You want to lift other people that are short or anybody that's
feel like they can't do it based on their circumstance.
And it doesn't have anything to do with height or what everybody says. Because I'm just sensing that you want to change the world in some way.
You got it dead on. You hit the nail. Yeah. In some way, man, it starts with one person. So.
You really want to. This is not, see, it started off as basketball, but when I saw the determination, I had no idea that for you it's like a life mission. Man,
or if I feel like I've really affected somebody enough to move on to where they can take what I did and use it, that'll make me feel better than anything on the planet.